Paul Heyman's with Seth Rollins. Oh my God. This is the Saturday review of WrestleMania 41 Night 1. They kicked off the show with Gunther versus Jey Uso for the World Heavyweight Championship. The entrance for Jey Uso I was super hyped for, and honestly, it was a letdown in my opinion. It was cool. They had the yeet flags. Jey Uso came out from the crowd. Everybody was yeeting. But honestly, the crowd, in my opinion, was pretty dead for a Jey Uso entrance, and Gunther's entrance was okay. The match itself felt really slow in my opinion. They were going back and forth and everything. Gunther ended up cheating because the ref wasn't looking. He hit Jey Uso with the World Heavyweight Championship. Looked like Gunther was going to win. He hit him with the splash. 1-2. Jey Uso kicks out. Jey Uso's fighting back and everything. He hits him with the spear. Couple super kicks. And then he did 3 Samoan splashes. And 1, 2, 3. Jey Uso has won the World Heavyweight Championship. He's celebrating. Leaves the ring. Goes into the announce desk. Runs back there. And Jimmy Uso's in there. They hug. Jey Uso's crying. Holding up the World Heavyweight Championship. And Jimmy Uso's holding up the Jey Uso's arm. And the two twin brothers had a special moment together. Jey Uso is our new World Heavyweight Champion. I thought this match was decent, but I forgot. Jey Uso didn't pin him. He submitted him. I haven't set it up here. I'm drawing a blank. My bad. Jey Uso did not pin Gunther. I thought he was going to pin him, but he ended up getting him in a chokehold and did the move. He choked him out because that was the move that Gunther put on Jimmy Uso and made Jimmy Uso bleeding like crazy. So like it wrote itself. It was perfect and everything. But overall, in my opinion, the match was pretty mid. It was very slow, but the ending of it was really cool with the moment of Jimmy Uso and Jey Uso, in my opinion. Then we had Eric and Ivar defend the tag titles against the New Day. This match, in my opinion, was very boring. It was slow. Honestly, I felt most of the show was slow, but this was very boring. I still feel like this wasn't a great WrestleMania match. But the New Day ended up cheating and stealing the win they had. They pulled Eric's feet down in the 1, 2, 3. They grabbed the titles. Kofi grabbed the titles, and they took off running up the ramp, and they held the titles up at the top of the giant WrestleMania 41 stage. But this match was pretty mid, in my opinion. But cool seeing the New Day win the tag titles again. I thought Big E might have gotten involved, but I guess they're never going to do that again. Maybe because he can't. I don't know. But New Day are our new World Tag Team Champions. Then we had Naomi versus Jade Cargill. This match was actually pretty decent. In my opinion, it was better than the Charlotte and Tiffany Stratton match. I thought the Charlotte and Tiffany Stratton match was a snooze fest. We'll get into that next. But this match, it was a good feud and everything. And then I'll get into the match, and Naomi had a pretty cool entrance with all the caution tape and everything. Jade Cargill had a weather report thing. It was kind of unique. But Jade Cargill ended up picking up the victory, which I call that. It was pretty obvious they're going to have Jade Cargill win her first singles match at WrestleMania 41. But overall, it was decent. They beat the holy hell out of each other all over the place. But Jade Cargill ended up hitting this crazy. She tossed Naomi in there, caught her, and then powerbombed her. It was pretty crazy. And they did her finisher. 1, 2, 3. Jade Cargill wins. I don't know where Naomi's going to go with this, but Naomi's character, or her new heel character, is really good. So I almost wanted her to see her win, but overall, it wasn't a terrible match, but it wasn't the greatest. Rey Mysterio got injured on Friday Night SmackDown, so he ended up being replaced by Rey Fenix, which I still think if Rey Mysterio would have been in this match, I think Rey Mysterio would have won and then unmasked El Grande Americano, but instead we had Rey Fenix versus El Grande Americano. This match was pretty mid. The crowd was dead during this match, but also there was no build for it because obviously Rey Mysterio was not a part of it. It was Rey Fenix instead, but it's cool to see Rey Fenix have his WWE WrestleMania debut. But El Grande Americano ended up picking up the victory. He ended up cheating. He put in the metal plate that he's been using in his mask and headbutted Rey Fenix into the diving headbutt. 1, 2, 3. El Grande Americano wins. I think if Rey Mysterio would have been a part of it, Rey Mysterio would have won and unmasked him, and it would have been actually more of a cooler spot. But instead, we had Rey Fenix take his spot, which nothing against Rey Fenix. It just kind of sucks because we actually had somewhat of a build with Rey Mysterio and El Grande Americano. There already was a slow build, not much of a build. It was a very minor build. So with adding the injury, this match was kind of just set up for failure in my opinion. But whatever, wasn't terrible. Cool to see Rey Fenix have his debut at WrestleMania, his WrestleMania debut. But No, I was not a fan of the match. Then we had a match I thought was really good. Fatu versus LA Knight. It wasn't a super long match. Fatu had a pretty cool entrance. He had like a werewolf mask, which was pretty neat. And then LA Knight had a really cool entrance. He came out with a sports car. The music hit and everything. He came out. It was pretty cool. Walked down. Obviously, the match was pretty decent, going back and forth and everything. Fatu did a backflip off the top rope, and it was caught by LA Knight. And mid-motion, it turned into a BFT. It was pretty awesome. I tried doing a setup of it, but obviously, as you can see here, Fatu ended up winning the match and winning the United States Championship. So I was like, I don't have a Fatu figure because there's never been made one yet. So I didn't make the setup. I just had him standing tall with the United States title. He ended up hitting his moonsault on LA Knight a couple times and winning the United States Championship. So Fatu's finally got his first ever singles title in WWE. Haku came out. It was his dad's tag team partner, and how this was kind of a cool moment. But Fatu is our new United States champion. I thought this was one of the better matches of the night. Then we had Tiffany Stratton versus Charlotte Flair for the women's world title. I don't have Tiffany Stratton, but Tiffany Stratton did end up retaining. Tiffany Stratton had a really cool Barbie entrance, like the whole stage, because it's like this big casino thing. It looked like a giant Barbie dream house, and there was 3 different versions of her. One was actually her, and she was posing. One was like her working out, and the other one was her in a dress. So it was kind of cool. She came out. Then Charlotte Flair had her crazy Charlotte Flair entrance. But this match, in my opinion, was very slow, but it was dragged out way too long. This match was like over 20 minutes. It should have been over within at least, like, at max 15 minutes, at least 10 minutes. It was dragged out too long. It was good at the little beginning, and then it was like, oh my god, can we just get this match over with? Charlotte Flair must have like botched something, because she murdered Tiffany Stratton, and Tiffany Stratton chipped her tooth, which is no good. That sucked. And she also had a giant bruise on her head. Like, Charlotte Flair, I don't know if, because I know she's been having her emotions taken over, and she's like actually going off script and stuff. She's getting pissed off at Tiffany Stratton. So I don't know if she was being a dick and just like was stiffing her and stuff. I'm not sure. But Tiffany Stratton was looking rough afterwards. But Tiffany Stratton ended up picking up the victory and beating Charlotte Flair with a prettiest moonsault and retaining her Women's World Championship, which I predicted this, and I really wanted this to happen because I did not want to see Charlotte Flair win another championship. But Tiffany Stratton is still our women's champion, and Charlotte Flair can go home and never come back, in my opinion. But this match was very boring, in my opinion. Then we had the main event, which in my opinion, by far, for sure, best match, not even close, not even a conversation. It saved the show, kind of. Still think the show was pretty mid. It was Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, and CM Punk. Seth Rollins had a badass entrance. He comes out with this black, like, cloth, like, thing with a flamethrower. So he's using this flamethrower all the place. It was badass. The lights go off, and they go back on with a spotlight on him. He's in an all-white outfit. It was kind of like Jesus, and he had sunglasses with, like, thorns and stuff. It was very interesting. Then you had Roman Reigns' entrance all by himself for, like, the first time forever, which was pretty cool. And then Cult of Personality was played live by Living Color. CM Punk comes down to the ring with Paul Heyman, which was pretty cool to see. But this match was great, going back and forth. They were just beating the holy hell out of each other all over the arena and stuff. Through the steel steps and everything. Around the announce desk. They went through the announce desk and everything. It was an awesome match. But they got in the ring. Seth Rollins had taken both out. They were all on the ground and stuff. Punk's laying there. Roman's laying there. Paul Heyman grabs a chair. He throws in a chair. The chair is in the ring. And he gives it to CM Punk. So he just says, screw you, Roman. Punk grabs the chair. Paul Heyman gets in the ring with CM Punk. He's like, ready to go. He's ready to attack Roman Reigns. And he hits a low blow on CM Punk. He screws over CM Punk. And he's screaming to Roman Reigns, I love you, my tribal chief. And Roman Reigns grabs the chair. And Paul Heyman's all hyped with Roman Reigns. He's like, right here. Seth Rollins is starting to get up like a shield. Like, he was going to get him back for the shield. Steel chair shot. He's like, right here, tribal chief, get him. Roman tells him to get behind him, and right before he goes to hit Seth, he hits Roman Reigns with the low blow. I called it, everybody. Seth Rollins is with Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman sits down on his ass like the lazy man he is, and then is waiting for Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins grabs the chair. He's all happy. He murders Roman Reigns with the chair. He stomps CM Punk, and 1, 2, 3. Seth Rollins wins. Also, for this setup, mid GTS, Roman Reigns speared CM Punk and Seth Rollins was on CM Punk's shoulder. That's why I made that setup. I thought it was pretty neat. But Seth Rollins is with Paul Heyman. Seth Rollins is a bad guy again. I was so hyped for this. This match saved the show for me, in my opinion. I was losing my mind. I thought it was freaking awesome. Really, really cool angle and everything. Paul Heyman outsmarted us all. We all thought he was going to be with CM Punk or he was going to be with Roman Reigns, but all along he was with Seth Rollins, even though I did predict this. But I thought it was absolutely awesome. Great way to end the show. Everybody's hyped. Good way to go into night 2, because night 2 hopefully is a way better show than this. Because out of 10, I'm going to give this show a solid 5 out of 10. It was the definition of mid. The match with Gunther and Jey Uso was okay. Ivar and the New Day, War Raiders and the New Day was mid. Tiffany, Stratton, Charlotte Flair was pretty mid. Naomi and Jade Cargill was pretty mid. Grande, Americano and Ray Phoenix was meh. Jacob Fatu and LA Knight was good. And the main event was good. So I'm going to give it a solid 5 out of 10. Actually, I'll be generous and I'll give it a 6 out of 10. I still don't think it's worth 6 out of 10. The show was pretty ass in my opinion. If this was the only thing for WrestleMania, this would be the worst WrestleMania ever. But there's going to be night 2 that hopefully can save it. Because if we're just going off this is the worst WrestleMania ever. It was so bad. But the main event was great. It was awesome to see Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins as a heel. His entrance was awesome. Everything about Seth Rollins was great. I'm super happy to see Seth Rollins get a win, because he hasn't gotten a big win like this in a long time. So I'm super excited to see where this is going to go with Seth Rollins and Paul Heyman. WrestleMania 40 Night 1 has been reviewed. I'm going to give it a solid 6 out of 10. It was pretty mid. But this is JRW. Make sure to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for tomorrow. WrestleMania Night 2 will be reviewed. I cannot wait for the main event of all of WrestleMania. John Cena versus Cody Rhodes. I cannot wait.